Hello, I'm Matt Williamson. What's going on? I am recording this Sunday, refreshed after getting in to sleep in after going to bed at 3 a.m. last night. Rewatched the game. Things are good. Got a game right around the corner here to end the preseason, then a nice long break until the regular season. So, just going to dig in deeper to the game, as we always do, at a little removed. There's the instant reaction yesterday, and this one's a little bit of a deeper dived, whatever. So, Pro Football Focus gave Teddy Bridgewater their player of the game. And I think that's really well warranted. And I give him credit. I mean, he's a professional. It's had a pretty good career. There's been some injuries and things that makes me wonder what Bridgewater could have been. But he's new to the Bucs. He only signed there a couple of weeks ago. Grabbed their backup job and really played well in this game. So, those two touchdowns, I think both the cover men for the Steelers could have got their head around better. They ran with the play better. They handled the route well, but they didn't find the football in time, and there's two parts to that, obviously. But Bridgewater dropped it right in there. And in the end, he was 6 of 11 for 84 yards, those two touchdowns. They gave him 2 big-time throws and 0 turnover-worthy plays on his 11 dropbacks, and got a really good passing grade from them, 93.2, for whatever that's worth. But he's 32 years old, and he played really, really well. So I have no problem giving him player of the game if we're to be, as unbiased as possible. That being said, the Steelers averaged 5.3 yards per play for the game and had a lot of explosives, running in the second half against bad defenses. But a lot of passing explosives, I think is noteworthy as well. Tampa only averaged 3.8 yards per play. Pretty bad. The Bucs, both teams, were 67% success rate in the red zone. So, I know red zone woes have been an issue, and it's hard to comment on that because, obviously it's Skyler and Rudolph, et cetera, et cetera. But, So, let's dig into snap counts. The backup O-line played a lot. 50 snaps for Sharping, Jones, Nestor, another 47 for Dylan Cook. J.J. Galbraith, the tight end, played 39. Skyler was out there for 34. Pete played 32. That's a good sign that he's getting back into shape. I'm excited about that. Your third-round pick, Caleb Johnson, played 29. Robert Woods, 23, late in the game. Brandon Johnson, 22. Roman played 21, as did Hurlman, Gareth Warren. Connor Hayward played 19. Lance McCutcheon, 18. Logan Woodside and Scotty Miller, 17 apiece. 16 for Rock Taylor and Kevin Folsch, a tight end that I honestly had never really heard of. Keyshawn Williams for 14. Trey Sermon for 11. Darnell Washington for 10. And then you got 9 snaps out of McCormick, Anderson, Faltanu, Frazier, Jones, the first team offensive line. Mason Rudolph was out there for 8 snaps. Lou Nichols played 7. Evan Hull played 7. Kenneth Gainwell played 5. More of him in a minute. And that wraps up your Steeler offensive snap count. The only thing I wanted to mention about the Bucs offensive snap count was Bridgewater was out there for 19 snaps. So it was a pretty substantial showing for him. And obviously Graham Barton and Igbuka and the other top dudes were out there for those snaps as well. As for the Steelers' defense, James Pierre led the way with 44. I assume that means he's still on the bubble with Bishop and Trice. Chuck Clark, 37. Eccles, 37. Remember, a lot of the secondary guys were sitting. As were the edge guys, especially after the Herbig injury. Sawyer played 35. Cole Holcomb played 34, as did Leal. Harrison played 28. Welshoff played 28. Leota, 28. Darryl Porter played 28. I think they might like him a little. Practice squad dude, maybe. 27 for Quindell Johnson, as well as Castro. Y.A. Black for 25. Harmon for 23. It's a pretty good run for a first-round pick. Kyler McMichael, a corner, 20. 19 snaps for Thornhill, Ukele, and Peyton Wilson. 18 for Killebrew and Bishop. Devin Harper, Mark Robinson, Logan Lee, Mikey Victor, all 17 apiece. And then we come down the home stretch here with 14 for Benton, 13 for Bruner, 12 for Loudermilk, Deshaun Jameson with 11. 10 for Hoko. Did some good things. Dominique Davis, another 10. Automeo, 9. 6 for Kyler Baugh, another defensive lineman. And Nick Herbig only lasted 3. That's pretty much all I got on that. However, I wanted to mention the Bucs defense. Their top guys did not play as much as the Bucs' top offensive guys. We only got 8 snaps from their top players. Guys like Reddick and Dean and Vita Vea, who was a monster. Diaby and Tyke Smith and Kalijah Cansey, Zion McCollum, those dudes. They only played 8 snaps each. So, I've told you before lately about ZipRecruiter. I kind of wish that they would have been around when I was trying to break into the scouting world. Not easy to do. They do find amazing candidates for you very fast, and you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter lets you connect with top candidates ASAP. You can use ZipRecruiter's pre-written invite to apply message to personally reach out to your favorite candidates and encourage them to apply sooner. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Some other stuff. I think the running back pecking order, despite Caleb Johnson doing some good stuff, is really set right now. I mean, Warren's to the point now he's getting rested. I mean, I think he's far and away number 1 on the depth chart. And I think it's pretty clear through 2 preseason games that Gainwell's well ahead of Caleb Johnson. I mean, all 5 of Gainwell's snaps occurred before Johnson even played his first snap. And he played all 5 of those snaps on the first 2 drives. And then his day was over before any of the other starters were over. Like the starting O-line and Rudolph and those dudes were still out there, even though Gainwell had hung it up for the day. And then Johnson did take over at that point. But it's pretty clear today, middle of August, that the pecking order is Warren 1, gap. Gainwell 2, I think gap. Caleb Johnson 3. So, we'll see. That doesn't mean he's terrible, but that's just where they are at the moment. I thought Rudolph had another real solid start, professional start. A lot of the Bridgewater stuff I mentioned with him, other than the interception, And they happen. If you're going to be out there a bunch, you're going to throw some picks. Oh, well. I thought it was a very good wide receiver day overall for the Steelers, too. And that being said, I am still strongly looking for a wide receiver too, and that's something we'll talk about now between now and the end of the regular season probably, or maybe they'll make a move. I am open to the thought, and I hate kind of pigeonholing these guys, but Metcalf's your top option. Everyone's in search of this WR2, and if we just use that terminology, I am as well. It needs to be somebody with size. We can start talking about options. Today's not the day for that. But I also think Austin and Miller or Roman Wilson, I'm sorry. Austin and Roman Wilson are probably high-end 3s. Now, 2 high-end 3s doesn't equal a 2. You know what I mean? But ideally, you'd have Metcalf, a solid 2 that has size that's bigger than these 2 dudes. Wilson and Austin as what I think are potentially high-end 3s. Wilson was a standout, no question. As was Rock Taylor. I mean, man, his stat line does not reflect how well he played, how well he got open and blocked, etc. Brandon Johnson, another strong performance, which he's been doing pretty much through camp. I mentioned Miller mistakenly, but it's pretty clear that he is way ahead of Woods, who I don't think is going to make the team. And Miller was open a lot in this game. I mean, quarterback play didn't exactly help him either. Left tackle, Jones. I think he's had 2 solid games. I know he's like the guy most under the microscope. Former first-round pick, of course, blah, blah, blah. And we know exactly who Jones is. Broderick, obviously. And he is very much under the microscope. But I think in these 2 games, he's been pretty solid. real solid, especially in protection. I thought Benton had a very strong game, mostly against what I think is a really good interior Bucs O-line. Wirfs has something to do with this, who's hurt, but I think that was a top 3 offensive line in the league last year. And Wirfs is a total superstar, but the interior is quite good as well. Really big Holcomb game, and by no means am I trying to kick him out the door, but I wonder, with the shortage of off-the-ball linebackers in the league, I bet there's 5 to 7 teams that would look at him and say he's an upgrade over our starters, especially now that we've seen 2 games of health. So that maybe you could get something out of him, but I'm not just dumping him for a 7th-round pick because I think you're going to need him. So you'd have to give me something substantial, a 5th or something like that, which probably won't happen. But anyway, really nice third linebacker for sure. I also thought Harrison played well on defense. He comes downhill and he's as advertised. I thought Castro also starting to emerge kind of late in the process, getting some late momentum. Screams practice squad to me, but I was excited about when they signed him. He will hit you. He showed up pretty well in this game, in my opinion, as well. Beanie Bishop is a dude I feel bad for because he played well. I thought it was another good game for him, but he's only a slot. Eccles is ahead of him at the slot, as is Ramsey. That's hard numbers game for him. I think I mentioned this yesterday, but I wrote it down 2 or 3 times over the course of the game. There were a lot of tackles for loss by the Steelers in this game, start to finish. Early in the game, Holcomb, a couple of those dudes, getting behind the line of scrimmage, and there was 2 or 3 plays that end up being called gains of 0 yards. They could have been TFLs just as easily. You know what I mean? So there you have it. That was good stuff by the defense as well, making plays. Some low lights just to touch on to get out of here. Woodside was pretty terrible. Do we care? Probably not, especially if Howard comes back soon. Unfortunately, we only have a couple days between now and preseason 3 that I'm sure Howard would love to get involved in. But either way, Woodside's not in the mix, but he was pretty terrible, and he hurt the receivers, without doubt. I didn't realize at the time how many penalties the Steelers took from their backup offensive line. It was quite a few. It was like 5-ish, something like that. It was also a really bad game by Gareth Warren, who had to play both tackle spots. He's not going to make the team either way, but also suffered a concussion. So other than that, great day by him. Not real impressed at all with Ukele, the D-tackle. I know Black is ahead of him. I would think Lee is ahead of him. I definitely think so. And at this point, probably Loudermilk. So those guys aren't real nosy. Especially Lee and Loudermilk. But I don't know that Ukele, blows my skirt up all that much. I would like to see more from him in the preseason, especially against backups, etc. He's been around the league a little more. I'd expect more out of him. And I keep bringing up Leal. He sets the edge out well. He's physical. I know they're looking for that going back to the Preston Smith trade and the drafting of Sawyer. But he just doesn't give you any juice off the edge as a pass rusher. And to me, that just makes you on the outside looking in, most likely. He's played a ton of snaps over these 2 games. Hasn't been great. He's in year 3, right? He should be doing more at this point, in my opinion. So that's what I got for today. Leave me some comments, spread the word, all that good stuff. Over and out.